Football is dying. Every year, the sport becomes less about the fans and more about the money, and nobody embodies this trend more than Red Bull. The money-hungry company has taken over clubs around the world, even infiltrating Germany, who's known for protecting their fan ownership. RB Leipzig is everything that's wrong with modern football. Right now, the sport needs a savior, but who can stand up to these corporations? Well, in comes Friedrich Vogel, a local Leipzig businessman who wants to fight back. He announces Union Leipzig, Germany's newest club, who's going to start life in the 3rd division next season. He promises to build the best academy in the country, to build a homegrown team and show that clubs can still succeed without big money and shady sponsors. Union Leipzig is going to be a club for the people. But right now, we're nothing besides a logo and an idea. We need facilities, a manager, and most importantly, players. But how can Vogel, a man who's never run a club before, do it alone? Well, he's not gonna have to, because a group of German footballing legends love this idea and join Vogel's project to offer their expertise. Overnight, Union Leipzig are suddenly looking like the real deal. So the project kicks off with players from around the country coming out to impress our legends in open tryouts, and Union draft a full team of unknown players to stay true to our vision. But with our German legends handpicking the best talents, we've got a few standouts already. Nico Fofana, a playmaking false nine, Simon Wolf, an attacking midfielder with an eye for goal, and center back Nico Becker, our highest rated player, who's gonna wear the captain's armband. So now with the players drafted, Union pick a manager. Dennis Binder, an unknown choice from the lower divisions. It's bold, but the German legends here insist this guy's got something special. He promises a unique 3 at the back system and possession tactics. It all sounds very exciting. So Union have our manager and we've got our players, but is this team actually ready to compete? Well, as we head into preseason, it's a reality check. It's ugly on the pitch as the manager's gonna need a lot of time to get this system down and the players have no chemistry. It's 3 games without a win in preseason. Union Leipzig has a long way to go. But the owner is hard at work, announcing a massive new stadium is starting construction as well as state-of-the-art youth facilities. But those are gonna take years to complete, and until then, we're gonna have to find solutions like sharing a home ground with local club Lokomotiv Leipzig and practicing on a bare-bones training ground. All these dreams of having the best academy in the country are still years away, and right now, we're gonna start as the worst team in the 3rd division. There's a feeling maybe Vogel jumped the gun. If we get relegated in our first season, this whole project could be over before it really starts. And the reality sets in fast as we get ripped apart in the German Cup in our first ever competitive match. It's a 4-0 defeat, and even the players like Captain Nico Becker, who are supposed to be our leaders, just look way out of their element right now. It looks like Union Leipzig might be in way over our heads. Well, the ownership's definitely put the new manager in a tough position as Binder's inherited a new club with no chemistry and no big name signings, and the manager's scrambling to find something that works, abandoning his back 3 and going with a more traditional formation. And now it's time for our first league match and we haven't found a single thing to be excited about yet. This could spell disaster for Union Leipzig. If we get relegated in our first ever season, this whole project is gonna collapse. But the manager remains firm. Despite the formation change, he's sticking with his possession ideals, and we are slowly seeing the team pick it up as we're actually moving the ball around pretty well. And for the very first time, we're starting to see which players are gonna fit this system. Center back Lucas Schultz is so good with the ball at his feet, and teenage winger Emeka Obi is also breaking into the team with some dazzling footwork. He's providing us with some much needed creativity. But it's hard to get too excited as we settle for a boring, scoreless draw. It's been our best performance yet. Union have a long way to go. And as we go into our second game, there's still some attacking threat emerging as Obi links up well with our striker Nico Fofana, but it's all passing and no goals. This team still needs a lot of help, and it takes a world-class performance from our goalkeeper Stefan Kraus to keep us in the game. And a second scoreless draw is not giving us enough to be excited about just yet. And the tiny bit of progress we made comes crashing down as, again, we get back to losing games. The truth is, our best players have been the ones letting us down. Nico Fofana, our striker, has yet to score a single goal. And most of all, Captain Nico Becker, our center back, despite being the highest rated player in the team, has actually been one of our worst on the pitch. Union Leipzig go on to lose 4 more games, meaning we haven't won a single match in our opening 10. The fact is, if this continues, we're gonna get relegated this season. Something has to change. The owner's been so focused on the future that he forgot the present, and his choice to hire an inexperienced manager and players is proving to be a bad decision. Potential means nothing if we get relegated now. Can he fix this mess that he made? Well, Vogel's at least trying, and he holds emergency talks with the manager, telling him he'll back him in the transfer market, and it's clear what we need: experience. So Vogel promises we will deliver an experienced signing, but the owner still hasn't hired us a director of football yet. For all his good intentions with the long-term plan, it's becoming clear he doesn't know how to manage the day-to-day. We're still missing basic club roles in the middle of a season. There's no way we can pull off a decent signing in this state. Can anyone save Union Leipzig before it's too late? Well, we have one trick up our sleeve, and that is the board of German legends that we have backing this team, and they step into the transfer market for us, using their experience and influence to get a deal done for our last signing of the summer window. And it's a good bit of business. A free agent, Noah Bouchard, a defensive midfielder, is coming in. He's not going to cost us a penny, and he's already probably one of the better players in this team. So the board have bailed us out with that signing, but there are major warning signs. The owner has to learn his lesson and set us up better for January, and until then we have to find a way to survive. The manager has an enormous pressure on his shoulders. He's been thrown into action this season with a poor team and ownership. Can he find a way to make this work, or are Union Leipzig just beyond saving? Well, the manager makes a bold call in response to the poor form recently, benching some of our underperforming stars. Captain Nico Becker is taken out of the starting 11, and so is striker Nico Fofana. So we go into the next game with our new signing in the lineup, and our backup striker Tobias Bergman playing up top, a much more direct option than Fofana. Maybe he can get us goals? Well, the manager's made some massive decisions, and it looks like they might not be paying off, as Union Leipzig find ourselves down a goal, benching some of our best players in the process. Dennis Binder is going to be feeling the heat now. But hold on just a minute. Union Leipzig, for the first time all season, actually show a little bit of fight here, and it's the manager's new choice, Tobias Bergman, who finds a way to score. That's the kind of direct play we've been missing. We're back in this. But we're more than just a few changes away from fixing this team. Our defense desperately needs help as we go on to lose the game. Union Leipzig still have a long way to go. Dennis Binder still hasn't figured this out, and even if it's not his fault, the pressure is still mounting. We're 2 months without a win. Can the manager finally get us our first victory and prove this can work? Or are Union Leipzig gonna have to part ways with our first ever manager? Well, for the first time all season, Union Leipzig are actually starting to see a little bit of progress. The manager has scrapped some of the possession tactics and gone a little bit more pragmatic, throwing Tobias Bergman up top, and his target man play sets up the goal for Simon Wolf. After months of hard work, Union Leipzig finally have our first ever win. It's been a rough start, but the manager's made the tough decisions that are paying off, and now the club can finally have a bit of belief. Maybe this is when it all starts to work out for Germany's newest club. Well, this may work out after all, but the fact is we've dug ourselves a big hole. We're gonna need to do a lot better to get out of the relegation spots. And the manager has the difficult task of identifying who to build around, because we haven't had many consistent performers in the team just yet. But Binder makes the decision to give the captain's armband to Stefan Kraus, our goalkeeper. He's actually had a solid season despite all of our problems as a team, but more than that, he's actually been a really good influence on some of the young players in the team. He's one of the oldest in our squad and has been doing a good job coaching players like Schultz and Kruger and helping our young players grow. And with a new captain established, Union Leipzig pick up our second win of the season. Maybe we're starting to figure things out now. But let's not get carried away. We're still last in the table, and it's easy to see why. We have the lowest goals scored in the division, and our strikers just aren't that good. The manager benched Nico Fofana because although he's great at the link-up play, he just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And although Tobias Bergman can score, he's just not as good with the ball at his feet, and it's costing us possession. Binder's having a hard time figuring out which striker to put his faith in. And in the meantime, our only real hero is the captain, Stefan Kraus, who is single-handedly keeping us in important games thanks to his saves. As the season goes on though, it's clear we're still deep in a relegation battle and something has to change if we want to improve. So for the second time this season, Binder is forced to make a drastic decision. He's going back to his preferred back three, but this time with a twist. Binder is going to put both of our strikers up top together. It's two players who can each do half of the equation, but will they work together? Well, Binder's almost out of ideas. He needs this to work. But with a huge roll of the dice, Dennis Binder may have just found the right solution. The two strikers link up exactly as we hoped they might. Fofana to Bergman, the exact goal that the manager drew up in training. The team looks much more open with this formation, and we're remembering why we had Nico Fofana starting to begin with. His footwork is unbelievable as he picks up a second assist. It's a huge win for Union Leipzig, and after months of hard work, it seems that the manager may be onto something. Dennis Binder's been put in a hard position this season, but he keeps finding ways to make it work. He may be a top manager after all. We head into January just outside the relegation spots, but finally we have a bit of hope about us. And just like with the manager, the owner is also figuring things out. He's finally gotten around to hiring a director of football, and he promises Binder they will fully support him this window and try to make up for the rough start they gave him this season. But we're not a rich club that can spend a lot in the market, so we have to make the tough decision of selling Nico Becker, our failed club captain, to raise funds to bring in new players this January. But now the new director of football can help, and he's gonna back Dennis Binder and his desire to bring in more defenders. Mateusz Wolski, a left wingback, should fit this new 3-5-2 system perfectly. Well, it took a lot of adjusting this season, but the manager, the owner, and even the players are all starting to finally find their footing. The future is looking bright. But our new director also goes a bit rogue and decides to make his own signing, Julian Busch, a player that he insists we cannot pass up on for this price. But this is a signing that the manager didn't ask for, and he's a right winger. This isn't a position we need. In fact, the biggest downside to this new formation change has been the fact that the manager's gone more defensive in the wide areas and has had to make the tough decision to bench promising players like Emeka Obi and Olivier Soko in favor of fitting the new team's style. It's clear the manager's building his 3-5-2 around wingbacks and not out-and-out wingers, and now we have both Emeka Obi and new signing Julian Busch who are going to be sitting on the bench. The manager complains to the owner about this transfer, and it's clear Vogel has a lot to figure out. Did he appoint the right guy to be our director of football? Because these transfers aren't super convincing. But on the pitch, Dennis Binder is still finding ways to win us games. This 3-5-2 system has been a revelation, and Union Leipzig are really improving our form in the second half of the season here. These front two are working well together as Bergman and Fofana continue to score goals. And the manager's vision continues to get refined as he's finding creative solutions, even moving defensive midfielder Bouchard into our back line, allowing us to have two ball-playing center backs, with him and Schultz moving it around well, and new signing Mateusz Wolski has slotted right in. We're starting to build up a little core of players who we can rely on. And among that core is Felix Kruger, the most underrated piece of this team, a destroyer in midfield who does all the dirty work. He's a real gem. But despite all the progress we've made, we still have a pretty weak defense. The ball-playing center backs don't help us too much when we don't have possession, and the only real bright spot in the backline is the captain, Stefan Kraus, who single-handedly keeps us in a few games. And Union Leipzig have finally crawled out of the bottom spots. If we keep this up, we will be safe from relegation. The important thing now is we build a team for the future, and we're starting to see who that might be. Bergman's our leading goal scorer, but players like Wolf and Fofana too. The only odd man out is Julian Busch, the new signing from our director of football. He has no spot in this system, and already after a few weeks might be itching for a move away. But it doesn't really matter because on the pitch things are going so well. As Dennis Binder's system continues to pay dividends, Union are still on the way up. The team comes first, and it seems like nothing can stop us now. But then the cracks in this team start to show as Felix Kruger goes down injured, quickly followed by our other central midfield, Jonas Richter, and both of them are going to be out for a long time. And the truth is, we don't have any adequate replacements for them. We only have one other proper central midfielder in the team, meaning an attacking midfielder is going to need to fill in the other spot. We don't have any depth. And with the transfer window closed, we have to turn to our youth academy, which right now is pretty bare bones. We're still years away from having the facilities finished. And with only a handful of players to pick from, the only viable choice is Vincent Sommer, a pretty low-rated midfielder. And although it is clear he's probably just going to be here for cover, it is a historic moment for a club that really wants our identity to be built around youth and promoting them out of the academy. He's our first ever graduate. And with our next game against the first place team in the league, all our good form could come to an end with this injury crisis. Can Union Leipzig find a way to get results even when the odds are against us? Well, early on it's pretty clear why they're the first place team in the league. We come under a lot of fire. But then things go from bad to worse. Our star striker Tobias Bergman now also goes down injured, and our makeshift central midfielder Danny Fuchs picks up a yellow card. Despite the game still being scoreless, Union are quickly falling apart. What can Dennis Binder do? Well, the manager is out of options, and he has to make some pretty wild substitutions, bringing on our academy graduate Sommer to play in midfield, and also bringing on Julian Busch to play as a makeshift striker. It's two players we never thought would be featuring in this game, but without any better choices, Binder has to put his faith in them. And against all of the odds, both of the players hit the ground running. Vincent Sommer looks like he has a maturity way beyond his years. The 17-year-old is actually playing well in a midfield against the best side in the entire league. And Julian Busch offers this team something we've never had, some true flair and creativity. This guy single-handedly is energizing our front line. And those substitutions have completely changed the nature of this game. Suddenly, we're the ones actually creating chances. And with time winding down, it's Julian Busch with a bit of dazzling footwork. He pulls an opportunity out of absolutely nothing and scores the only goal of the game. Union Leipzig have just made a statement, taking down the best side in the division. And the hero is someone nobody would have expected. Julian Busch, who had yet to make any kind of impact in this team, bursts onto the scene playing as a makeshift striker. He may just have a promising future here after all. That was a huge win. Union Leipzig are looking like we will be safe from relegation after all. But things could get ugly because now we have another long-term injury with Bergman out for a month. That's 3 of our usual starting 11 out of rotation. But the silver lining might be what some of these new players can do is Julian Busch is hungry for more minutes. The manager rewards both him and Sommer and shows that any players that perform well are going to have a spot in this team. They're both in the starting 11. And these players repay the faith of the manager, hitting the ground running as Vincent Sommer scores in the very next match. What a revelation he's been out of the academy. And Julian Busch is showing exactly why he was so highly rated by our director of football. He's just bringing a new element of creativity to the team and picks up a fair few assists. He's the first player Union Leipzig have had that really get the fans up out of their seats with his flair. He's such a fun player to watch. But the fact remains, he is a winger who's learning to play up top, and his finishing leaves a lot to be desired. If Busch wants to become a top striker, he's gotta learn how to score goals. But the manager, despite not wanting Busch initially, is fully backing him. He says, be patient because the goals will come. This kid is talented. And just like it has all season, the manager's intuition pays off. Julian Busch in the very next game scores the best goal we've seen all season. Maybe he's not the most consistent yet, but he's the only player in this team capable of creating something out of nothing. I think we've found our new striker. And now with 6 games remaining in the season, we're solidly mid-table, and really all that's left to play for is figuring out who we want to build around next season. Bergman's back from injury, but now that Busch has taken his spot, we're gonna have some difficult decisions to make. Which players do we keep? Well, a no-brainer right now is Stefan Kraus, who's been our highest performer all season, and we're gonna reward the captain with a brand new contract. He's one we want to keep around, not only for his great performance, but for helping develop the young players around him as he has all season. We have a preferred starting 11 now, but we're seeing a lot of the same bits of play over and over again, specifically our lack of finishing, as both Fofana and Busch are not really clinical. With a lack of defensive focus as well, we're seeing that Union Leipzig are still a far way off of being a truly top team. We got a lot of work still to do next season. But there's still plenty to be hopeful about as well. We're seeing a lot of exciting signs that weren't there at the start of the season, notably Julian Busch, who again creates absolute magic on the pitch, scoring a goal that drags us back into this game. It's been pure chaos recently, but Union Leipzig are definitely looking like a promising side. But we still have a lot of immaturity to work out, and really it's the organization in the back line as we concede a second. Usually Stefan Kraus is up for the challenge to make some heroic saves, but on the night, 2 shots and 2 goals, he hasn't been able to save us here. We're not even at halftime yet. We're witnessing one of the most entertaining games so far this season. Fofana finds the back of the net. Suddenly, it's 2-2. Game on. But the final blow of this game comes against us as we concede a third. Where has it all gone wrong for Union Leipzig tonight? Our defense was uncharacteristically bad. And the answer isn't what anyone would expect. There is a reason Kraus didn't play as well last night. He just got flagged by the physios after the game for heart troubles and is suddenly forced into early retirement from professional football. Our captain and star player is suddenly gone. We've been through a lot this season, but nothing compares to this. We just lost the most influential player on the team, and you can just tell the morale of the entire squad has dropped. It just feels like there's no way we can replace a player not only of his quality, but leadership. Our only senior goalkeeper, Maxi Muller, is gonna have to start, but more than the position is the fact that we now need a new captain. We don't really have any other leaders in this team. Who can the manager turn to? Well, Binder's keeping an eye out as we get back to games, and there's a couple standout players. Julian Busch obviously is grabbing headlines, but he's more of a one-man show and not really leader material. And Vincent Sommer, despite being the surprise breakout academy star this season, is still only 17 years of age and probably too young to give that responsibility to. So after considering his options, Dennis Binder has made a choice. The new captain of Union Leipzig is going to be Simon Wolf, our highest rated player, but the manager's dead honest with the player. He hasn't quite lived up to what he knows he's capable of, and he hopes that giving him the captain's armband will help Wolf elevate to the next level. But is it actually going to work? We saw what the weight of the captain's armband did to our previous star, Nico Becker, who never found his footing at Union Leipzig. Can Simon Wolf be the leader that this inexperienced Union Leipzig team so desperately needs? Well, Wolf looks energized by the armband, immediately playing some direct passes that end up resulting in a free kick just outside the area. It's going to be the captain himself who takes on the responsibility of taking these chances, and it tests the opposition goalkeeper going out for a corner. It's been a great start from the new captain, and Simon Wolf is not done just yet. He's giving this his all to drag us in front here as he wins a penalty kick. And now you know who it's going to be to take it. Simon Wolf, the new captain, with all the responsibility on his shoulders. Can he convert this chance and get Union Leipzig back to winning after the retirement of Kraus? Wolf steps up, and it's off the post. So unlucky. Well, he's given it his all, and it hasn't been enough just yet. But the fact is, Wolf is leading by example, and that has been enough to drag the rest of the team back into form, as Julian Busch and Nico Fofana are the ones to take the headlines again, combining for the only goal of the game. Union Leipzig get back to winning ways. Suddenly, morale is looking okay again. Now there's no doubt Union Leipzig are gonna miss Stefan Kraus, but we're doing well enough in his absence as Julian Busch and Nico Fofana continue to score goals. Honestly, Binder has done a great job this season, making the most of what we have in our team. And for the first time all year, things are looking up. Felix Kruger finally returns from injury and is in the matchday squad for the final game of the season. And we're reminded of how much we miss him as he wins the ball back a ton in midfield. Now alongside Vincent Sommer and captain Simon Wolf, we have a great midfield. But the one truly standing out the most is Julian Busch, one of the most exciting players to watch in the entire league, and he links up so well with Nico Fofana. Union Leipzig cap off what's been a chaotic season with a win, and now the future is looking surprisingly good. There was a ton of growing pains this season with an inexperienced owner, players, and manager all figuring it out together. But we managed to get the job done. And now going into next season, the mood is high, and hopefully we've learned from our mistakes and can build into a top side. Union Leipzig head into our second season full of excitement.